Tick tock, the clock is ticking on Diddy because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be. But today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years, just over 11.
Got it. You want this rewritten, not summarized, with the same investigative edge but cleaner, tighter, and more controlled. Here's a polished rewrite that keeps the tension, sharpens the narrative, and removes the ramble while preserving the receipt's heavy tone. The Combs family didn't retreat when their father went to prison. What should have been a quiet period, a strategic fade into the background while lawsuits, convictions, and appeals played out, has instead turned into a reality-style documentary rollout. And from the moment the trailer dropped, it became clear this wasn't a redemption arc. It was a performance. The Combs brothers documentary, announced through Zeus Network, presents itself as a mission to set the record straight. But
footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yes, was the centerpiece of the documentary. So watch this particular scene because this is where a lot of people feel Diddy really screwed over someone that he should be very, very thankful for.
Sources familiar with the project say the goal isn't justice, it's narrative control. And the timing makes that impossible to ignore. The series is scheduled for release in 2026, the same year Sean Combs' final appeal could either overturn his conviction or seal his fate permanently. That isn't coincidence. It's strategy. The trailer opens with Justin and Christian Combs watching footage from their father's trial. Their expressions are solemn, defiant, and unsettled. The voiceover promises truth, transparency, humanity, but the truth the trailer avoids may be louder than anything it shows. Justin Combs is currently named in a Los Angeles Superior Court lawsuit alleging that in 2017 he lured a woman to a Beverly Hills mansion under the pretense of a job opportunity. According to the filing, the woman claims she was held against her will, incapacitated with substances, and assaulted by multiple men, one of whom she identified as Sean Combs. The lawsuit doesn't describe Justin as a bystander. It alleges participation in a setup that mirrors the most serious accusations against his father. None of this appears in the documentary's promotional material. Christian Combs, meanwhile, faces his own legal storm. In April 2024, a woman filed suit accusing him of assault aboard a yacht chartered by Sean Combs in December 2022. She alleges unwanted sexual contact and retaliation after refusing him. That case remains ongoing. Still, the trailer offers no acknowledgement of either lawsuit. The documentary announcement came just weeks after 50 Cent's Netflix series Sean Combs. The Reckoning debuted to massive numbers, more than 22 million views in under a week. That series didn't just revisit allegations. It featured never-before-seen footage of Sean Combs in the days before his arrest, visibly unraveling as his legal team warned him the walls were closing in. Combs' camp claims the footage was stolen. But insiders say it originated from Combs' own archive, material he commissioned himself. For years, he documented everything: meetings, studio sessions, personal moments. Control of the narrative was always part of the plan. Christian's reaction to the Netflix series only made things worse. After the premiere, he briefly posted a threat toward 50 Cent on social media, saying he would slap him if he ever saw him. The post was deleted within an hour, but not before 50 responded publicly, dismantling him with a reminder of power, money, and relevance. It wasn't just a clapback. It was a reminder of who controls the platform. Sources close to the situation suggest the documentary wasn't truly the brothers' idea. The push, they say, came from higher up, possibly from Sean Combs himself, calling shots from prison.
Absolutely. My name is Big Homie.cc, former celebrity bodyguard, 16 years. I converted my business to protecting women and children, combating human trafficking. Last year, we brought on 17 missing women, 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy. So
because if the appeal fails, this isn't a comeback story. It's a eulogy, released while the subject is still alive. And if the appeal succeeds, Sean Combs could walk free only to discover his son spent a year reopening wounds he spent decades trying to bury. Either way, the family loses control. What haunts this entire rollout isn't what's included, it's what's missing. Sean Combs didn't just document his final days before arrest. He documented his life for decades. The footage used in 50 Cent's series was only a fraction of what exists, and if they were willing to hand over one set of tapes, there's no guarantee the rest won't surface too. Since the trailer dropped, neither Justin nor Christian has publicly addressed the lawsuits against them. No statements. No denials. No effort to get ahead of the narrative. In situations like this, silence isn't restraint. It's exposure. The documentary frames the brothers as witnesses to their father's downfall. But they weren't just watching from the sidelines. They sat through the trial. They heard the testimony. They saw the evidence. They stood by him as the verdict was read. So why do they look shocked now? Unless there's something in that footage, something even they weren't prepared to see. The Combs family believes this documentary will reclaim the narrative. But the narrative has already moved on. The lawsuits are active. The industry has gone quiet. The allies are gone. And 50 Cent still holds the footage and the audience. And in a game like this, the ones reacting are always behind. If the appeal fails, this documentary becomes Sean Combs' legacy. If it succeeds, it may become his greatest regret. Either way, the question remains: who's really running the story now, and what's still sitting on those tapes? Say less. You want it more extreme, sharper, darker, louder, like a voiceover that cuts. Here's a fully amped rewrite. Higher stakes, harder accusations, tighter pacing, zero fluff. The Combs family didn't respond to their father's prison sentence with silence or humility. They responded with a documentary. A glossy, carefully staged reality series designed to do one thing: seize the narrative before it slips completely out of their hands. And the moment the trailer dropped, it became obvious. This wasn't a redemption story. For years, the assumption was simple. The sons would stay quiet, let time dull the headlines, let their father's conviction fade into the messy mythology of hip-hop excess. That's how this industry works. You wait it out. You survive the storm. But instead, Justin and Christian Combs stepped in front of the lens, right as the walls are still closing in. The documentary is set to release in 2026, the same year Sean Combs' final appeal is expected to be decided.
Everybody will be at his parties. Everybody. And like the first part of the party is normal. It's like going down on Woodville. It's normal. But the second part, when they come out collecting the cell phones, and one of the security guys, sign right here.
To be decided. Because if the appeal fails, this series isn't a rebuttal, it's a tombstone. A final attempt to shape a legacy before the door locks for good. And if the appeal succeeds, then Sean Combs walks out of prison into a world where his sons have spent a year publicly excavating his past. The trailer sells their side of the story. What it doesn't mention is the story chasing them.
They never would have prosecuted him if it was just a manic.
They prosecuted him on all these other things, and they did find him guilty of this, so that still counts.
The jurors don't always get it right. We don't have to agree with their decision.
I just don't know because I wasn't sitting in the courtroom. You got to see the witnesses. Why didn't they believe Cassie? Why didn't they believe Jane?
Justin Combs is currently named in a Los Angeles Superior Court lawsuit accusing him of luring a woman to a Beverly Hills mansion in 2017 under the promise of a job. According to the filing, the woman alleges she was trapped, drugged, and assaulted by masked men, one of whom she identified as Sean Combs. The lawsuit doesn't describe Justin as collateral damage, it describes him as part of the mechanism. That detail doesn't make the trailer. Neither does Christian Combs' legal trouble. In 2024, a woman filed suit accusing him of assault aboard a yacht chartered by his father in 2022. Alleging groping, coercion, and retaliation after she refused him. That case is still active. Still live. Still radioactive. And yet the documentary pretends none of it exists. The 50 Cent problem they can't outrun. The documentary announcement didn't happen in a vacuum. It landed weeks after 50 Cent's Netflix series detonated. Pulling in over 22 million views in its first days, that series didn't speculate. It showed footage. Footage Sean Combs himself commissioned. Clips of him unraveling in real time as his legal team warned him the end was coming. His camp called it stolen. But insiders know better. Sean Combs has documented his life obsessively for decades. Cameras everywhere. Archives stacked deep. Control was always the obsession. This time, someone else had the keys. And whoever handed that footage to 50 Cent didn't just leak content, they shattered the illusion of power. Christian's response only poured gasoline on it. A now deleted threat aimed at 50 Cent after the Netflix premiere, scrubbed within the hour, but preserved forever online. 50's reply was surgical. Public. Final. That wasn't a feud. That was a reminder. Who's pulling the strings? Behind the scenes, whispers say the brothers didn't initiate this project. The push came from higher up, from someone who still believes the Combs name can bend reality through repetition. Possibly even from prison. If that's true, then this documentary isn't rebellion. It's obedience. And obedience has consequences.
Yeah, it's not surprising that they tried to get out in front of this and tried to persuade Netflix not to come forward with it. I think it's an interesting argument because what they're claiming is, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, has had a long-standing, animosity against Diddy and sort of vice versa. And because he's at the helm, they're arguing this can't be taken seriously. This should sort of be seen as propaganda. And one of the things that Netflix hit back with was, yes, he's the executive producer. He doesn't necessarily have creative control.
Because the footage they're reacting to, the footage already released, is only a fraction of what exists. Since the trailer dropped, the brothers have said nothing about their lawsuits. No statements. No denials. No clarifications, and silence in this context isn't dignity. It's fear. They weren't outsiders watching their father fall. They sat through the trial. They heard the testimony. They saw the evidence. They stood beside him as the verdict landed, so why do they look shaken now? Unless there's footage they hadn't seen before. Unless the archive holds something even they weren't prepared for. This isn't a lifeline, it's a last stand. The Combs family thinks this documentary puts them back on offense. It proves they're reacting to lawsuits, to leaked footage, to cultural rejection they can't reverse, and 50 Cent still has the platform. Still has the audience. Still has the material. If the appeal fails, this series becomes Sean Combs' legacy. If it succeeds, it may become his greatest betrayal. Either way, the story no longer belongs to them. The real danger isn't what's in the documentary. Because somewhere, someone is still sitting on the rest of the tapes. And when those surface, this won't be entertainment. So the question isn't, will the documentary change the narrative? All right. Maximum pressure, no mellow edges, but still legally framed. This is nuclear-level commentary, tighter, colder, and openly hostile to the narrative itself. They didn't wait for redemption. They rushed the camera before the verdict could settle. The Combs family didn't answer a prison sentence with reflection or restraint. They answered it with a rollout. Lights. Music. Close-ups. A documentary engineered not to tell the truth, but to outrun it. And the second the trailer hit, the lie cracked. It's a controlled burn meant to destroy evidence before it spreads. For decades, silence was the strategy. Let lawsuits blur. Let time sand down the headlines. Let hip-hop history absorb the damage the way it always has.
In the moment, it just felt like, what? Like, is this fun for him? Is this a test?
Now, with their father sitting in a federal facility and the appeal clock ticking down, Justin and Christian Combs have stepped into the frame, not as sons, not as witnesses, but as shields, and shields only come out when someone expects impact. The release window says everything. 2026. The same year Sean Combs' final appeal could die. If it fails, this documentary becomes the last word. If it succeeds, it becomes preemptive damage control. Either way, it's insurance. What the trailer refuses to say, the documentary promises their side. What it buries is the part where they are the story. Justin Combs is named in an active Los Angeles Superior Court lawsuit alleging that in 2017 he lured a woman to a Beverly Hills mansion under false job promises. According to the filing, the woman claims she was held against her will, incapacitated, and assaulted by multiple men. One allegedly identified as Sean Combs. Neither does Christian Combs' situation. In 2024, a woman filed suit accusing him of assault aboard a yacht chartered by his father in 2022, alleging unwanted sexual contact and retaliation after refusing him. 50 Cent didn't start this. He ended the illusion. The documentary announcement came on the heels of humiliation. 50 Cent's Netflix series didn't just outperform expectations, it detonated. Over 22 million views in days. Not opinion. Not rumor. Footage. Footage Sean Combs commissioned himself. Sean Combs has archived his life obsessively for decades. Cameras everywhere. Everything recorded. Everything catalogued. Control was the religion. This time, someone else accessed the vault. And whoever did it knew exactly what they were handing over. Christian's response exposed the panic. A public threat toward 50 Cent deleted within the hour. Too late. 50's reply wasn't entertainment. It was hierarchy. That exchange wasn't about loyalty, it was about relevance, and Christian lost instantly. Sources say this documentary wasn't born from courage or truth-seeking. It was pushed, pressured, possibly dictated. If that's accurate, then this series isn't rebellion, it's compliance. And compliance has a cost. Because the footage already released was just a sample. Someone leaked once, that means someone still has access, and archives don't shrink, they wait. The silence is the tell. Since the trailer dropped, neither Justin nor Christian has addressed the lawsuits tied to their names. And silence at this stage isn't strategy, it's exposure. They weren't outsiders to their father's trial. They sat through it, heard the testimony, watched the evidence unfold, stood beside him when the verdict landed. So why do they look rattled now? Unless the footage they're watching includes something they hadn't seen. Unless the archive holds receipts that even loyalty couldn't prepare them for. This isn't offense, it's containment. The Combs family thinks this documentary puts them back in control, and 50 Cent still controls the platform, the footage, and the audience.
Did he? Or didn't he? Well, if he didn't, he's got a lot to explain. Well, apparently what Diddy's done now, which is a very interesting thing, is he's on the offensive of sorts. That's right, Sean Diddy Combs has initiated a $100 million defamation lawsuit.
If the appeal fails, this documentary becomes Sean Combs' legacy, frozen, defensive, unfinished. If it succeeds, it may be the thing he never forgives. Either outcome is loss, because the narrative no longer belongs to them. The real danger isn't what airs, it's what didn't. Somewhere, the rest of the tapes still exist. And whoever leaked once knows their value. This isn't a documentary, it's a countdown, and when the next drop hits, this won't be entertainment, it'll be evidenced. So the real question isn't will the series work, it's who already decided it wouldn't, what else are they sitting on, and how close are we to the next release? Because this isn't a comeback, it's containment failing in real time. They didn't step into the fire. They poured gasoline on it and called it storytelling. The Combs family didn't answer their father's conviction with restraint, remorse, or even silence. They answered it with a camera crew and a release schedule. A documentary timed not to reveal the truth, but to get in front of it before the truth finishes speaking. It's a preemptive rewrite while the ink on the conviction is still wet. The documentary is not a story, it's a defense mechanism. For decades, the Combs playbook was simple: wait it out. Let time blur allegations into rumor. Let influence smother accountability. Let history remember the hits and forget the harm. Now, with Sean Combs sitting in federal custody and his final appeal looming, the sons have been deployed. Not as heirs. Not as witnesses. As buffers. Because buffers only exist when impact is expected. The release year tells the whole story. 2026, the same year the appeal either collapses or resurrects him. If the appeal fails, this documentary becomes a gravestone with lighting and music. If it succeeds, it becomes a hedge, a way to muddy the water before the door opens. The part they refuse to put on screen, the trailer promises their truth. What it avoids is the truth attached to their name.